Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is a psychotherapist as well as a counselor, and of course, the author of the book Dreaming God's Way, no other than Mr. Ara Trembly. Welcome, Mr. Ara on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here. And yeah, so a little bit about me. As you said, I am a psychotherapist. I've been in practice for about 20 years. And I do I do work mostly with adults, but some with children as well. And yeah, a good part of my work involves helping my patients interpret their dreams because the dreams are, as we like to say, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is the place where a lot of our problems or bothersome habits can develop. Um, so so that's something that has been taking place in my counseling practice, as I said, for the past 20 years. But my newest book is Dreaming God's Way, as you said. And as it says, it's a biblically informed guide through the fascinating world of our dreams and their meanings in our lives. Um, and a part of the reason I wrote it is because a lot of people who do what I do, who are therapists and psychologists, tend to ignore dreams these days. But at one time, and certainly in the early days of psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, dreams were extremely important. And certainly in biblical times, they were very important. There are many examples of dreams being reported and interpreted in Scripture. And the Bible itself is filled with these vivid dreams that are personally and historically significant, and in many cases they are how God speaks to humans. So even in the Jewish tradition, the Talmud views dreaming as a means by which God communicates with the soul, and dream interpretation as a valuable spiritual activity. Uh, so I'm trying to reclaim that. That's the purpose of this book, trying to reclaim that, talk about that, talk about different types of dreams. And in the book, we look at those different types of dreams, especially precognitive dreams, which are dreams of what is going to happen in the future, and they're quite fascinating. And so we talk about all those types of dreams, and then we offer some tips on how to interpret your own dreams. Um, so where would we like to start?
So, tell us, Mr. Ara, what is the most common misconception Christians have about God-sized dreams that your book seeks to correct? And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Well,
Hoping
thank
for
you.
more and more empowering books like this to
So the most common
come.
misconception that people have about dreams is, or there are a number of them, but one of them is, oh, they're just the mind's way of getting rid of thoughts that aren't important, kind of taking out the trash, the mental trash, so to speak. So that's a very that's the way a lot of psychologists look at it. Not all, of course, but it is much more than that. Dreams, as I said, are the royal road to our unconscious mind, which is the part of our mind that we're not always aware of, but that will cause us to form habits, and will often cause us problems if we don't pay attention to what's going on with it. So the book seeks to give people a means by which they can. Number one, when we tell people, record your dreams. When you wake up, record them. Either write them down, or record them on your phone, however you can do it, so that you can then consider later what the dreams might mean. But that's a very common misconception is that dreams are meaningless, which is the exact opposite of what is true.
Mr. Ara, how do you biblically define the difference between a self driven ambition and God originated dream?
Okay, so dreams are individual to the dreamer, and so if you dream something and it's just something that's part of your normal thought process, or things you thought about in your waking life, chances are that's not a message from God. I mean, the messages from God, as we see, tend to be very important things in our life and things that we hadn't thought about. So solutions to things that we had not thought about, or they could be, a vision of the future. And one of the most famous of such dreams, what we call a precognitive dream, was from President Abraham Lincoln, who several weeks before his assassination dreamed dreamed of that very thing. He dreamed he was in the White House. He was walking around and he walked into a room and saw a lot of soldiers standing around a coffin, and he asked the soldiers, who's dead? Who is dead in the White House?" And they told him, "It's the president. He's been assassinated." And when he woke up from that dream, he was very upset, and he didn't think he had any reason to think that would happen. But a few weeks later, he was indeed shot to death. Uh, so sometimes it's a warning or a vision of what's going to happen in the future. But these are the ones that are actually from God, that are not just subtle things, are ones that are going to impress you in that way.
Mr. Ara, the title suggests a collaborative process. What is our role and what is God's role in the dreaming and doing equation?
Okay. So, besides the unusual dreams, the kinds of dreams that I just told you about, it's what I say to my patients is, God speaks to you in more subtle ways through your dreams, and maybe tries to show you alternate ways to do things, or things that that might be, yeah, your conscious mind can't figure out, but your unconscious mind does. So, a great example of that, from the book again, is the famous golfer Jack Nicklaus. Said that he was having a trouble in a tournament, and he went out on the range after the tournament and tried to figure out what was wrong with his swing, and he really couldn't. But in his dreams that night, um, something occurred to him, a fix occurred to him that hadn't occurred to him in waking life. And when he woke up and went back to the tournament, he tried what he dreamt about, and it worked very well for him. So again, sometimes our mind is going to come up with creative things that we hadn't thought about, and you can choose to think. Sometimes we choose to think, well, that's God who showed that to me. But even if it wasn't, even if it was just him finding something in his mind that he wasn't quite aware was there, it's extremely valuable.
Extremely valuable for sure.
Hmm.
And Mr. Ara, can you share a personal story of a time you had to surrender a dream you were certain was from God, only to
Hmm.
discover His plan was different?
Ah, okay. I don't know if the dream was that his plan was different, but I can give you an example. When I was this again is a precognitive dream. When I was 9 years old, my family and I moved to a different town, where we had been living, and I had to go to a new school, of course. And I never had visited the school. I didn't know anything about it. Um, but So I was a little nervous the night before because I was going to be the new kid in school, and I dreamed that I was in school and I was in a classroom, and the classroom had the chairs, instead of being arranged in rows the way most classrooms are, the desks being arranged in rows, the desks were arranged all around the edge of the classroom in kind of a square. So you were facing a lot of the other kids in the room. And I dreamed also in this dream, I saw a young girl, a girl about my age, who I thought was very pretty. And she had short brown hair and big blue eyes. And that's what I remembered from the dream. So when I went to school the next day, um, when I walked into my classroom, it was exactly the way I had seen it in my dream. The chairs were indeed all around the edge, and I'd never been in a classroom like that before, ever. The chairs were all around the edge, just the way they were in my dream. And sitting right across from me was that same little girl who I had seen in my dream. Uh, and I was I I must have been looking at her kind of funny because she looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" But I just couldn't help it. I'm thinking, "Oh, there she is. That's the girl who was in my dream." And what I can say is, I this was a little bit of a glimpse into the future, but it also made me feel a lot. I felt a lot calmer about going to school and about being in school because I connected in this way. So it was quite a wonderful experience.
Indeed, a quiet experience, Mr. Ara.
Hmm.
What does a faithful stewardship look like in often ambiguous waiting season between receiving a dream and seeing it come to pass?
Hmm. Well, uh, the problem with that is with the question is we don't know when it's going to come to pass, right? I mean, it might come to pass immediately, or it might come to pass in the future. Uh, so there was a woman, another report that's in the book. There was a woman who this was in, I think, the mid 19th century. She kept a ship that had been going between Charleston, South Carolina, and London, was wrecked off the coast of South Carolina, but nobody knew where the wreck was. Or what happened to the crew, but a woman kept dreaming about seeing a man holding on to a part of the ship, maybe a timber or something like that, and still alive. And so she reported this to the authorities, and they went and looked for this man at this wreck, but they couldn't find anything. Okay, but she kept having this dream. She had it again, and she her husband was an influential man, so he got them to go look again. And once again, they found nothing. And then then the third time, again, she said no, no, and she even knew who it was. She said it's the captain of the ship, and he's on this log or whatever it was. Well, this time they actually did find him, and he did survive, I think, along with a couple others from that ship. But he never would have been found if that message hadn't been sent to this woman and she hadn't insisted on telling people about it, and people believed her.
Interesting, Mr. Ara. So, how do you counsel someone who feels their God given dream has failed or died? Is it a dead end always a sign of a wrong turn?
Yeah, if I've never had anybody say to me that because of a dream they thought God failed them. I never had, but I've had people say that to me, and I get, and the answer is really the same as the answer I just gave, which is the timing is not ours. Timing is not ours. God may send us, He may send us a message now, or He may send it much later, or He may answer a prayer now, right away. It's the way we hope He will, or it may come much later, or the answer may be no. It may not be part of God's will. So the tough answer, it's a tough answer, but it's the true answer is we really have to wait on God for that. We want it to be in our time and want it to be immediately, of course, when we pray, but it doesn't always work out that way.
The book likely addressed fear and doubt. What a practical step can someone take when the fear of failure threatens to paralyze the pursuit of God given dream?
Okay.
Mr. Ara.
All right, good. Yeah, I don't know that people fear that they will fail, but they fear that their interpretation of the dream will be wrong. And The funny thing about that is that, the best interpreter of anyone's dream is the person who dreams it. Um, and that's really part of the purpose of this book, is to say, hey, trust your own instincts about what this dream means and connect it to your own life. Because most dreams we have, if we think about them, they connect in some way to what's going on in our life right now. It may be directly connected, like it's connected to a person or connected to a place, or it may be, just sort of a theme that's going on in one's life. If someone feels rejected, they may dream of being rejected, okay, because it may reflect what's going on in their hearts and minds. But that's the way we do it. We connect it up. Part of the way we figure out what our dream means is we connect it up to what story is going on in our own life. So when I was writing this book, I had a dream about um, uh, this was a kind of a funny dream. I dreamt I was at a place, and I dreamt that this was what we call a vivid dream. I knew I was dreaming. Okay. So I said, oh, I'm going to walk through this wall of this building. And I did. I walked right through the wall as if it absorbed me, and I walked right through. And then I walked through another wall. But as I was walking through this wall, I got stopped. I couldn't go any farther. And I felt confined. I felt stopped. I felt stuck. And but in the dream, I just remember saying to myself, I'll just, whatever this is holding me up, I'll just walk around it. And that's what I did. So I walked around it, and I walked out through the other side. So when I went to interpret it, the next day when I went to interpret it, and my wife helped me with this, by the way, she has very good insight into how I think. Um, I was stuck at a point where when I was writing this book, I was stuck at a particular point. So the wall to me symbolized confinement. It was stuck. But I also said, oh, if I'm stuck, I have to find a way around. And that's what I did. And that's really what I did when I went back to working on the book. I found a way around the problem that I couldn't solve. And it came out much better than I thought it would. So again, it's been very useful in a number of ways, but the key is that we have to pay attention.
Mr. Ara, as a clinical hypnotherapy and a counseling
Mhm.
practice, what are your short-term and long-term goals, as well as an author?
Yeah. So thank you. So short term, I just had a patient say to me today, actually, do you get to save people's lives every day? And I thought, gosh, I never thought of it as saving people's lives. I just thought of it as, helping people through problems. But to him, that's what I was doing. And so my goal is to keep doing that. If even one person thinks that's what I'm doing, I'm saving lives, then I've got to keep doing it. I really do have to keep doing it. So that's my goal. As an author, yes, I want to write more. I'm really proud of this book because it deals with a lot of things that don't get dealt with by most modern psychology books. Um, so I'm really proud of that. But I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is some fiction that's kind of related to this. But I haven't done fiction before. So far, I've only written two nonfiction books. But that's long term. That's my goal to continue as an author, and to continue helping people certainly the way my patient described it today.
Looking forward for that fiction, Mr. Ara,
Hmm.
and good luck to your goals. And looking forward for more success.
Thank you so
And what
much.
would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Hmm. Well, if if they want to be therapists, or they want to interpret other people's dreams, my advice would be to go pursue that. Go pursue the advanced degrees. Go pursue the advanced psychology degrees that you would need. Pursue the training, um, and it's always good to get advice from somebody who's already in the field. So, I have people who come to me for advice about that all the time, and it's always good because some people are very well suited to this, but it's a very stressful occupation because you're hearing all day about people's problems, and you can't just ignore those problems. When you hear about those problems, it affects you, and you have to be careful that, yes, you have to understand how it affects your patient and how it might affect you, but you have to be careful that you don't get drawn into that and develop the same kinds of difficulties yourself. So that's why a lot of therapists will burn out because they can't. It's so stressful. So if you're a person who's not good with stress, or who easily gets upset and anxious, this is probably not the career for you. But if you're a person who's curious about the way the mind works, about the way God created us, and how our minds work, and the wonder of the human mind, then it's very much the career for you.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Ara. And what can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Okay. So other than obviously my own book, Dreaming God's Way, which, as I said, is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, thrift books, etc., Dreaming God's Way. Um, one of the books I consulted a lot and I recommend to anyone who's really interested in the subject of dreams is called Man and His Symbols. That's Man and His Symbols. It is by C.G. Jung, Jung. Um, it's a fascinating book, and it was written. It's written by one of the most famous psychologists ever, but it's written in a way that the average reader, the average adult reader, can understand and really gain great insight into what's going on with dreams and with our minds. So that one I would recommend highly.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr.
Mhm.
Ara. And books, I should say, because Dreaming God's Way also. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Ara, ultimately, how does learning to dream God's way to lead us into a deeper, more intimate relationship with the dream giver himself?
So it starts with realizing that dreams are a gift from God. They're not just mental trash. They really do have meanings in our lives. And people from ancient times have known that right along. They've known that right along. And that's why you see it. And you'll see in primitive cultures, for example, know that. They just know it. It's part of our DNA. And so part of it is realizing that this is part of God's plan for us as human beings, and it's part of the way He reveals Himself to us, or reveals important information to us, and it's part of the way we get to seek Him. So these are all important things, and it can be as easy as recording your dreams and then seriously and prayerfully considering them, um, and hopefully with the aid of this book.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Mr. Ara, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, your books, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
So the project I'm doing right now, as I think I might have mentioned, is working on a fiction book um, that will, yes, involve dreaming, but will also involve end times theology, which is always fascinating to people. And I'm doing a lot of research on that right now, and I'm really excited about that. How long it's going to take to write it, I have no idea, but it could take as long as a year. We'll see. But that's what I'm excited about at the moment.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Ara Trembly, because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Ara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real privilege.
Marticon people, see you soon.